guys, my name is Alex here on the sales team at MAPerformance. Today I'm shooting this video here on how much it's going to cost to modify your 2015 Plus WRX. Now you may have seen in a previous video we kind of talked about the pros and the cons of doing so, but we're going to break down a little bit deeper. We're going to go into the details of cost, what it's going to take to get to mild to wild. So let's get right into it. Keep in mind, these prices that we're going to be talking about today, they are going to be relative to what's going on in the market right now. Moving forward, with the world that we live in, labor prices are going up, raw material costs are going up, so things can change, but there is going to be some consistency in this, with what it's going to take to get into a mild build to a wild build. So starting out, something like a full bolt-on setup, you've got your intakes, your downpipes, your intercoolers, and hey, you know what? At MAPerformance, we make all that stuff here. So we've got a pretty good idea of what that costs. Starting out, everyone's gonna have to do this stuff even to get to the higher stages. So maybe you're thinking about even purchasing a WRX. You gotta have one before you can modify it. These cars, they range, from anywhere $20,000 up to $27,000. But it's gonna be a really great bang for your buck. It's a car that's hardly even 5 years old. It's got all-wheel drive, especially if you live in the Midwest, that's a huge value. You don't have to have a second car. Thinking ahead, this is obviously a platform that is very well documented, very well supported. MAPerformance has a warehouse full of parts for them. There's no shortage of stuff. You could keep it for the rest of your life and probably be completely content with it. Or, if it does come time where you want to sell it and move on to something else, as Subarus have for the last 25 years in America, these cars have been holding their value really, really well. There's not too much of a price difference between a 2015 with moderate miles and a 2020 that just rolled off the lot. There's less than a $10,000 difference there. So you won't end up too completely upside down if you do decide to sell it after putting some money into mods. Someone will give you what you want for the car, and I can almost guarantee that. These cars are very, very popular. So the mild build can consist of quite a few components. Like I said, all the stuff that we make here, intakes, downpipes, intercoolers, that can have a kind of a general range if you've got one of those parts or all of those parts, anywhere from about $1,000 to, on the higher end, $3,200. So a lot of the intakes, that's everyone's kind of first step. Those generally range from $325 all the way up to the big, nice, fancy ones with all those metal heat shields and fancy graphics and stuff like that, about $450. A downpipe, depending on as well, if you get just a standard high flow cat or one of those Jezzy cats, can be anywhere from $750 to $950 on the higher end. Intercoolers as well, you've got plenty of choices. You've got top mount intercoolers, front mount intercoolers, you've got red piping, black piping, raw stainless piping, front mount, top mount, you name it. Anything like that, it's gonna range generally from about $750 all the way up to $1,600 for some of the fancy ones. So now you've got all these parts installed on your car. If the hardware is done, you could either continue to drive it as it is, or you could really step it up and add a tune. It is really important, and I say you can drive it as is, but you're gonna wanna tie all of those components together and actually get the benefits out of them. So adding a cob access port is really kind of the gold standard for Subarus. That's really the only way you can tune these cars, and that's gonna run you $675 flat out. If you buy our parts, it comes with a free tune, so you don't have to spend any extra there. Otherwise, people do go the route of getting a dyno tune, a pro tune, e-tune, whatever you wanna call it. And again, those prices can vary depending on who is tuning the vehicle. Now, if you're gonna be installing all of this stuff on your own, how much does that cost? Well, that depends on how much you value your own time. You can spend a couple days in the garage with your buddies drinking beers, getting all this stuff installed, but if you're gonna take it to a shop, it really is gonna be good to kind of shop around. Depending on where you live, shops will charge more than others. If you live out in the boonies, they're probably gonna do it for a case of beer as well. If you live in the big city, we're in Minneapolis here, there's plenty of shops to choose from. I would say you'd be expecting about $150 an hour. So keep that in mind on making your decision on if you want to install this yourself or if you want a professional to do it for you. Now, you might ask too, Alex, when I get all of this stuff installed, how much power am I gonna make? Is all that money gonna be worth it? And I'll tell you what, for a bone stock WRX, adding any of those parts, you're gonna make peak horsepower, you're gonna move your power band over to the left with just some simple bolt-ons, and it's gonna be really fun to drive. You're gonna see, like I said, if you've got one of those items or all of those items, you're gonna make anywhere from around 250 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque, all the way up to, about 315 horsepower and 360 foot-pounds of torque. That puts you in some pretty good territory for just bolt-on mods. Okay, so now you've spent all this money, you're making all this horsepower, how reliable is it still gonna be? Now, we talk to a lot of people here, we've got these cars in our shop. Reliability can depend too as well on how well you maintain your stuff. So keep doing your oil changes, keep doing your coolant flushes, and I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, you're gonna be sitting anywhere from an 8 to a 10. Some people are more meticulous than others, so keep up on your maintenance. That is important. Maintenance before mods, guys. All right, before we get to the rest of the video, guys, I did want to just mention something real quick. MAPerformance is celebrating our 15-year anniversary this year, so we're going to be doing another giveaway. You may have seen this somewhere, we've done a few already, but this one's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a special 15th anniversary edition t-shirt. All of the proceeds from that are going to go to support Direct Relief Charity, as well. Now this is where it gets fun. Every order that leaves our facility is going to have one of these guys, a little 10mm socket. It's going to come in handy, it's going to be cool, but for one winner every week in September, someone is going to receive one of these golden sockets. Now, if you do find this, definitely reach out to us, let us know, because you just won a $1,500 MAPerformance gift card. All right, let's get back to the rest of the video, guys. All right, now you've been at your full bolt-on status. Maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been 2, maybe you're bored, maybe you lost to a Mustang. You wanna step it up a little bit. You've got a good base foundation. You wanna add maybe a Cobb Flex fuel kit, $600. You wanna add a upgraded high pressure and low pressure fuel pump. That's gonna run you all together about $1,000 to get your fuel system upgraded. With the WRX, you have to keep in mind too, you're working with a system that is not like a lot of other cars. It's not even like the STI. It's direct injected, so you've got some things that you have to buy that you may have never even heard of before. Like, Alex, what is a high pressure fuel pump? It's weird, it's crazy. We'll get there. And then other than the bolt-ons, what other parts do we make for your car at this stage? We have a twin scroll header. That's gonna, again, kind of shift that power band to the left. It's gonna increase your torque, which that's where you start to get really fun. You're gonna have a lot of power to the ground, and then you're gonna say, how do I stop? How do I do the, go on the track? How do I still be successful with that? So we've got lots of different options. There are many manufacturers out there to choose from. You can go with some Hawk brake pads. You can go with StopTech brake pads. You can do your drilled and slotted rotors. That's gonna run anywhere, for a full set of pads, anywhere from about $200 all the way up to about $350. A set of brake rotors as well is gonna be anywhere from $400 to $600 depending on how fancy you wanna go with it. Now you're asking yourself, with all of these mods, and I have to sit in traffic and work all day, do I have to worry about anything else? Now, I would recommend at this point upgrading your cooling system. We've got lots of options from silicone radiator hoses all the way up to fully aluminum radiators. That's gonna delete that weak point of a plastic end tank. You don't wanna start leaking coolant, none of that stuff, because it's gonna come when you least expect it, and it could even happen mid-pull, which is never fun. No one likes that. So you've got your Cobb access port, you've probably got your off-the-shelf tune on it. Great. You're gonna have to upgrade your tuning situation too as well. Now you've added the flex fuel sensor, you've added your fuel pumps, you're gonna wanna look into a dyno specific tune, maybe even a tune with multiple fuel maps. You're gonna wanna probably run an ethanol blend to get to the horsepowers you wanna achieve. But the nice thing is too, if you're going that route and let's say you wanna go on a long road trip, you wanna bring the kids to Disney World, there's not gonna be 85 along the way. So you can set up multiple fuel maps that still will be compatible with your setup on the car. That can again range anywhere from a full power tune on ethanol to $500 all the way up to multiple map setup, probably going to be ranging around $1,000 plus the dyno time. Now most dynos will probably charge again $150 an hour, so hopefully your tuner can knock it out in an hour or two and it's not going to be too much, but if you've never done this before, there are going to be some costs that might surprise you at this stage. Now you're at your dyno day, you've paid your tuner, you're probably going to wonder how much power am I actually going to put down on the rollers at this stage. You're gonna be maxing out your stock turbo. You're probably gonna crack 400 horsepower. You might get close to 300 torque. and you're gonna be at the limits. Now you're asking, well, if I'm at the limits, again, how reliable is my car gonna be? This is where we're kind of in some dicey territory with the platform. You know, we know Subaru's bonehead gaskets, ringlands, spun rod bearings. I'd say you're kind of going to move down a notch or two on the 1 to 10 scale, about a 6 to a 7. I would just keep in mind the looming fear of blowing up your engine could be there, but if you do it right, you got all the right parts from MAPerformance, you should still be in pretty good shape to daily drive your car and do some spirited driving with no worries.
What year is this? 2015 WRX.
So you've maxed out your stock turbo, you've got all the bolt-ons in the world, you've got your upgraded brakes, you've got your ethanol tune. Now, at this point, you're gonna be sitting anywhere from the $5,500 range to the $7,500 range. So you're gonna have some pretty good money invested into your vehicle, and you're thinking, what's next? What do I have to plan for? So that is our wild build right here. This is built engine, big brakes, suspension, multiple cooling mods, everything under the sun on your car. And yeah, that's where you might get the question, well, why don't you just buy an STI? Your wild build is going to be for the people that want to be in the 500 horsepower to 700 horsepower range. You're going to need a built engine. You're gonna need a big turbo. You've already got that good base of full bolt-on mods, so you've already got that money spent. How much extra is it gonna cost to get to this point? A built engine, depending on who you get it from, brand new is gonna be anywhere from $5,500 to, again, $7,500 just for the long block alone. At that point, you might ask yourself, well, I don't know if I'm comfortable, swapping out an engine myself. Do I bring it to a shop? So there could be additional labor costs depending on how adventurous you are at this point. Upgrading your turbos on these cars too can go kind of one of two ways. We're all familiar with the stock location turbos, so that's kind of what we're going to stick to. That's what most people do, and in 2021, these turbos are still capable of that 700 horsepower range. So that's going to run you anywhere from about $1,800 all the way up to $2,200. Now, that is assuming too you've got our MAPerformance header on there. That's going to get you the most benefit from going from that with the twin scroll design. So now you're making 600 horsepower, 700 horsepower. You've slammed on the brakes at 150 miles an hour enough times. Your brakes hate you. You got to upgrade them. Now, looking at a big brake kit, you've got multiple offerings from maybe Brembo, StopTech, all those guys. You're gonna be looking anywhere from around $4,000 to $7,000. That's when you're gonna get those upgraded stainless steel brake lines. You're gonna get racing brake fluid, big calipers, nice fancy two-piece rotors. And that's, again, you get to that wild side and you have to ask yourself, do I wanna daily drive this car still? The stainless steel braided brake lines might not be the best bet if you drive in a state that has winters. You're going to see a lot of corrosion, and that's going to be just as unsafe as having brake fade on the track or brake fade on the highway. So keep that in mind too as well. Now at this point as well too, for cooling, you're definitely going to want to have those radiator hoses and the aluminum radiator. Also as well, definitely start thinking about a oil cooler kit. Keep those temps down, kind of keep everything in that happy range, especially if you're going to be driving on the track at that horsepower. That's going to run you probably another $350 to $450 to add those oil cooling mods, but in the long run, it's going to protect your investment. If you did add any other components to your car as well, everyone still wants their car to look cool. You're not going to have a bone stock looking WRX making 500 to 700 horsepower. So you could be upwards of $25,000 to even $30,000 at this point. And you're going to want to ask yourself again, how reliable is it? Well, if you built it right, you tuned it right, you kind of almost go back up a notch from the last build. You probably could be sitting in the 6 to 7 range again as well. So now that you've heard all three different ways you can go with this car, from mild to wild, you have to make the decision for yourself what works best for you, what works best for your lifestyle and your budget. But keep in mind, whichever way you go, MAPerformance has all of the parts here in our warehouse waiting for you to buy them. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. Like I said, my name is Alex here on the sales team, or any other of those sales guys are more than happy to help out and answer similar or same questions to what we talked about in the video. Also, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Definitely let us know what other platforms you want to hear about. cost for modifying, where to buy these cars, where to buy these parts. We'll keep making more of these guys. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I do hope this helps you out in choosing which path you want to go with your car. Tune in for the next video. Maybe that's more your flavor. Let us know what you want to see next. Peace out.